Everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoterica, another episode of the Unported playlist where I take a look at some of my favorite unported arcade games of all time. And today we're taking a look at Ski Champ by Sega running on the Model 3 hardware. And shocker, it's another skiing game. I'm going to do each and every one of them that exists because I love skiing. Before we get too far involved, if you could do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. If you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, there's a Patreon link down there as well. Now, this is a game I loved in arcades, and I love Model 3 in general. If you've been watching my channel whatsoever, you'll know that I've covered a lot of Model 3 games on this channel, as well as Model 2, and I love everything Sega did with the hardware. This just blew me away compared to what was on the home market at the time, PlayStation 1, Saturn, and Nintendo 64. Seeing these things in arcades, you never thought that you'd have graphics that good at home. Of course, we got there eventually, but this was a really special cabinet because you had the gigantic ski controls that you stood on with handlebars where you could turn left and right. And I particularly loved this game back then because I've been skiing my entire life. I actually used to do it professionally, and then I worked at Burton Snowboards as the international team and brand manager. I've made ski films. Definitely previous life stuff. I'm a college professor now, but I've been working in sports a very long time. So anything skiing related, I'm always going to be predisposed to love. But taking my insane bias out, this game is also just amazing. It's basically like a racing game that you control with your legs. Now granted, that's not what I'm doing here. I'm using an Xbox One controller, and I'm using the Supermodel emulator. And it plays exactly the same, if not easier, because you're not physically using your whole body to turn. But the game is as fun as it would be in an arcade. And this is not the type of cabinet that you're going to see very often whatsoever. All of these big amusement cabinets, the one that you sat on or stood on, they break constantly because people love to abuse, whether they know it or not, arcade hardware in arcades. So keeping these things running was always a gigantic pain. And when they became less popular, a lot of them ended up in the recycling because they just were finicky and the hardware needed a lot of care and attention to continue to run correctly. So if you ever do see a Ski Champ cabinet in any arcade, definitely throw a few credits in it and play it because the odds of you seeing it again are slim to none. And I always loved these type of arcade cabinets because I loved fighting games, I loved racing games, but these big amusement cabinets, the ones that you stood on and pretended you were skiing or skateboarding, were always a great time because they were really refreshing if you'd played like your 4th or 5th round of Mortal Kombat and you just wanted to throw a little bit of your money around at something different. It was always fun to check these out. And as far as how well does it emulate skiing, pretty well. I mean, it feels like skiing would be, and I've done it. God, I've probably gone skiing 3,000 days in my life. I used to be on the road 300 days out of the year doing this. I miss it, but playing something like this just kind of makes me happy. And that's where emulating these games comes in, and it is amazing because if you want to play Ski Champ, you're not going to want to go out and buy a cabinet for it. There's a few cabinets for these for sale. They're well over $1,000, and they're massive. If I had all the square footage in the world, I might add something like this to my collection so that I could step onto it and play it. But I live in a condo in Chicago, and if I had a Ski Champ cabinet, that would mean I have a Ski Champ room, and I would have to take everything out of a room just to fit it. So that's why emulators are so important, why Supermodel is so amazing. It's because we get to continually play something like this, enjoy it, and be able to preserve it without having to have a gigantic, 600-700 pound cabinet that takes up, 100 square feet of your house alone. And that's why it's just great, and I love talking about these games because maybe you have seen these in arcades, maybe you love them, and maybe you thought you'd never get to play them again, and I'm telling you, you can in under about 10 minutes. What I'll let you do now is the next round, I'll let you listen to the music for about a minute and a half. It is quite great. I love it. And I'll come back and finish it up. But you'll see here, we went all the way to the left. So on this next round, we're going to go all the way to the right. But I'll be back in about a minute. We'll close up Ski Champ, but enjoy the soundtrack, enjoy the sound effects, and just pretend you're out on the slope skiing and having a good day. And I will say, I've been helicopter skiing more than once. You never jump out of the helicopter like this, but it would be fun to try. Be right back.
Follow me. Cool. Unextended.
Now you'll see we're going to the right versus the left, and we're taking a completely different course. And this game does have enough branching paths that you're going to be able to play this about 4 times without having to repeat anything whatsoever. And it is relatively easy to get to the end with time left, but actually getting first place in this requires almost perfect skiing with the controller. So it actually has a lot of challenge in it. And this is the type of game that, if it was more popular, I could see people doing speed runs and trying to do time attacks on it, because you could really map these courses out and try to figure out what the best line down the mountain is and see how many seconds you could shave off over and over again. Now, it's not something I'm going to do because it's really not competitive, but if it was, maybe I would do something like that. But it's one of those arcade games that you can pick up and play for 10 minutes, feel like you played a lot of game, and then turn it off and go do something else. I love all the visual effects, how the fire here actually makes the ground change colors and the lighting conditions change, and Model 3 was great at that. And in some ways, I kind of wish Model 3 was actually the Dreamcast, that they had brought that technology home, although I can understand it was probably way more expensive than the actual hardware in a Dreamcast, but I just love the look of this game and all the Model 3 games, partially for nostalgia and partially for I think the graphics really do hold up super well. But if you've never played this game before, I recommend you download it and play it. I'll leave a link to the Supermodel emulator below. It's really easy to deal with and it works near perfectly. And the best part about it is all these games can run in 16:9. Now some of the graphical elements will only be in 4:3. That's why you see the map and our total time being closer to the center of the screen. And some of the title cards will have black bars around them. But as far as the actual gameplay is concerned, we're playing it in full 16:9, which is something that the Model 3 didn't do in arcades. And it's just fun to be able to play that at home. And even here, there's different ways to get through each area of the course. There's different lines, one of them being running into the wall. That's not what you want to do. But if you never played the game before, I highly recommend checking it out. It's definitely an arcade classic, and your odds of seeing a cabinet anywhere again are slim to none. I haven't seen this since it was in arcades when it was new. But short of that, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I love chatting with you guys. And I will be back next Sunday with another Unported playlist video. And we will be back on Tuesday, Friday, and Wednesday as well with other videos. But if you've played this and you love it, leave a comment below. Because like I said, it's fun to do the commentary about these games and talk about them and tell you what I think, but I love hearing your guys' stories as well. And you'll see there's still other areas of the map we haven't explored yet. And I will put a full playthrough of this up so you can see everything if you don't really feel like playing it. But short of that, thanks so much for watching. I'm going to put VG in like I always do for my initials, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.